My name is Mechele Shoneman. I'm with Trendient. I'm CEO and founder. And the idea for Trendient really came out of my own experience. I was trying to launch a series of promotional campaigns for my EcoKind store. And between pulling data, trying to segment, trying to profile, create compelling copy, create some A/B split tests, it was just an exercise in frustration and confusion. And after 15 years of marketing, this should have been something I was able to do with my eyes closed. Yet the further I went into the process, the more convoluted it became. So I went out, did some research. What I found is that there's not really a comprehensive solution out there, soup to nuts, that covers every facet of putting together a really effective promotional campaign. What I also found were hundreds and thousands of other small and medium online merchants who are facing the same problem. Now, when I worked for large companies like CNA and Lucent, it wasn't an issue. We had very sophisticated tools at the ready. We had different departments that took care of each piece of putting together a campaign. And that's really where Trendient comes in, is we're hoping to fill a hole. We're helping small and medium retailers do what large companies do with automated promotional tools. So who are these small and medium retailers? Well, a small retailer, a small online merchant might be doing $250,000 in sales a year all the way up to $1 million. A medium-sized retailer might range anywhere from $1 million in gross annual revenue up to $2–3 million. And they range anywhere from niche manufacturers to folks who are doing shipping out of their garage, using drop shippers. They're all over the map. But they do face some similar problems. Search engine marketing and comparison search engines have become increasingly expensive. Where 5 years ago you could get an effective keyword for a few cents, today you might spend $4, $5, $6. The comparison or search engines have become increasingly complicated as they introduce more algorithms. It's harder to chase. It's very time consuming, and time is at a premium for these guys. Shopping cart abandonment rates at 60% plus continue to confound both the large and the small retailers. And there's really been an explosion of affiliates out there. And these are guys who are reselling the big brand names. They're creating a lot of clutter and making it that much more difficult for the small and medium-sized merchants to really get their message out there. And then, of course, inventory management, differentiating your inventory, and margins are the lifeblood of the business. And some of these smaller merchants, surprisingly, are living off 10 and 15% razor-thin margins. So what does the market look like? It's big. From 2006 to 2007, the market grew 19%. That's in a downturn market. The analysts are saying that by 2008, it will reach $204 billion. Interestingly, on this side of the pie, this 61% is comprised of only 500 companies. The largest is, of course, Amazon, who's the Walmart of the online space. And then the smallest is doing, I think, 5.3 million versus Amazon's 14.9 billion. So there's a huge range. On the other side of the pie, the small and medium guys that will account for about 80 billion is made up of 1.5 million small and medium merchants. They're the fastest growing segment, having grown from 22 to 35% in the last 2 years alone. Excuse me. So the competition is really largely focused on these big guys, and they're very sophisticated marketing, optimization, and analytic tools out there. And there's not a whole lot of attention being paid to this fast-growing segment, and that's where Trendient really comes in. Because those tools just won't work, both from a price standpoint, where they start at $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a year, and from a complexity standpoint. They're extremely cumbersome. Forrester actually did a study. They said that 73% of the employees using these huge company tools like Channel Intelligence and Unica had no idea what they're looking at because they're so incredibly complicated. This is an interesting study. Here you can see the difference between what a large retailer's online marketing spend looks like versus the small guy. And the large guys are only spending 53% on lead generation or acquisition versus 21% on building customer loyalty, because they get it. They get that it's 5 to 10 times cheaper to sell to an existing customer than to try to break in a new one. Whereas the small and medium guys are still spending 90% of their meager, dwindling budgets in some cases trying to bring in new leads, sometimes paying for the same lead twice. And Trendient is really trying to level the playing field and even out these columns, stop leaving so much money on the table. We believe that over a 6 to 9 month period, we can help these small, medium retailers increase their revenue by 30% while at the same time decreasing their promotional spend by 15% with more efficient and more intelligent planning and promotion. So what Trendient provides is real customer optimization. We're able to give e-tailers a very granular view and insight into who their customers are, what they want, what works, and how. Real-time promotions, meaning that if somebody lands on the site for the first time, they might get a welcome message saying, welcome new customer, here's 10% off today's purchase. And then our recommendation engine is what we'll be moving toward, and that is building rules based upon the history that we gather to actually make recommendations for the e-tailer so they don't have to come up with their own. Over the long haul, we look to increase return on investment and lifetime value. And we're pre-launch right now, but this is the current iteration of what our interface looks like. We're working with a company, one of our alpha testers, called Zen Beauty. Zen Beauty is interesting because what they do is they manufacture niche beauty products for women with yellow undertones in their skin. They're out in Minneapolis. They do about $500,000 a year, and they have 6 employees. And they're really challenged because many of their offline channels have shrunken up over the last few years, so they really need to grow their online sales. So if today Zen Beauty were to create a campaign using Trendient, what they would do is click this Create a New Campaign button. They would name their campaign. We'll call it DreamIt. They would then select which type of promotional aspect they're going to ride this thing on. And in this case, we're going to do percentage off. We know from working with Zen Beauty, their most effective promotional vehicle tends to be percentage off. Typically, for most companies, it'll be free shipping. For Zen Beauty, for whatever reason, their price point, the product line, this works. Then what they would do is, using our promotional wizard, is they would select out those types of customers they'd like to send to. What we do is we break their database up based on demographic, transactional, and behavioral information. This is all done automatically for them. We integrate with the shopping cart solution. In this case, they would select customers who have abandoned their cart 2 times. This is an issue for them. So we have the contact data from folks who have either purchased in the past or they've gone to the extent of putting items in their shopping cart, providing contact info, but never completed the transaction. We'll also select customers who have shown some level of interest in the product line. They've spent more than 5 minutes on the site. And then we move to the next area, and that is we're going to select which products we're going to promote. Now, we know that the margins are pretty good on the Bath & Body products, so that's something we can offer an aggressive promotion on. And then we move to the last area of the wizard, which is how you're going to send this. We're going to do it through email. That's the easiest. That's what about 80 to 90% of the promotions will end up looking like. We can also do live, dynamic promotions, site pal, etc. And then what would happen is Zen Beauty would simply move to another area where they set timing parameters and then customize the copy. Now, this took us about 30 seconds. In real life, this might take Zen Beauty 3 to 5 minutes. Today, this process I just went through takes Zen Beauty 45 minutes to an hour. They can then go into the interface and take a look at how the campaign is doing overall in comparison to others. There'll be a unified reporting interface. So hopefully this made it fairly clear. What we're doing is we're really automating what today is a very manual, fragmented process. Go-to-market strategy in year 1, we like the eBay marketplace. It's an open API. There's 1.3 million sellers today. There are 430,000 small mom and pop sellers that account for 95% of the $60 billion transacted on eBay. And there's actually a business imperative for a product like Trendient. eBay just changed their pricing. On September 16th, what they'll be doing is charging 35 cents for fixed price offers, meaning they're sort of moving away from this auction-based model, and they're really going head-to-head with Amazon. So there's going to be more and more of a need for a product like Trendient. In year 2, we'd like to go out to the open source shopping cart solutions like ZenCart, OS Commerce. In year 3, we think we'll have gained enough traction, we can go directly to the shopping cart and payment gateway solution providers and integrate from the top down. We'll test out some different price points that are based largely on parallel products out in the market today. For eBay alone, the total addressable market for year 1 is just over 100 million. And a very sticky product, so giving it away for free for a few months we think is not a problem, and that right away, because we're able to integrate at the database level, there's some interesting reporting for the e-tailers, and then once they run 5 to 10 promotions, we think they'll begin to see a bump in sales. You can see the market trajectory is just astounding. I took sort of a mix between IDC and Forrester. Forrester is a little bit optimistic. And by 2012, the market is looking like about 345 billion. As I mentioned today, there's 1.5 million small medium retailers in the US. There's about 5 million worldwide. And by 2012, we're hoping to reach about the analysts are saying we'll reach about 5 million. In terms of market opportunity for Trendient, as the market continues on the upward trajectory, there's plenty. Obviously, we won't achieve complete market saturation, but plenty of room to play here for us. In terms of marketing strategy, I'm a big believer in an integrated strategy, so lots of stuff. The nice slash possibly, as you think about the eBay community, is they tend to hang out in packs, right? We can find them in groups, we can find them on forums, and there's a lot of chatter, so word of mouth goes very far very quickly. And we've got a great story with David and Goliath and the big guy versus small guy, because it talks about the nature of Trendient as well as the nature of most of the small of our target customer. My background, as I mentioned, has been sort of a mix of corporate and startup. My last post was with Lucent. I handled the marketing strategy and communications for their channel business and business partners. Most recently, in the last few years, my focus has been exclusively on online businesses, and AdSeam was actually the company we came into the DreamIt program with. And AdSeam was a widget-based ad network, so we've changed the business a little bit over the last 3 months, and we did so for a variety of factors, the most compelling one being crushing competition and some of the aggregation engines out there. So we were in that yellow bar chart that Mike had up earlier. Today, we're working with 3 alpha customers. I mentioned Zen Beauty. We've also got Track and Price. They do about $500,000 a year on eBay, selling world paper money and numismatics, as well as the software that tracks it. They send out about 4 million calls a day. And then E. Scott, also very, very tiny. They're the smallest of our alphas. And they have a really interesting mix of Apple computers and ladies' high-end fashion. We're also working with 2 third-party vendors, Mushy Gushy, which is sort of a hyperactive sort of greeting card thing where you can cut out somebody's face and stick it on a singing greeting card, and My Coupons for some extra distribution for our small retailers. And then, of course, marketing. I'm working with two marketing companies in figuring out what our strategy and our messaging is going to look like. I also forgot to mention, we've also got 20 qualified prospects. This is interesting. We ran a really small landing page test with some ill-fitted keywords, and we ended up with a 15% conversion rate. This was pretty amazing, and we picked up some good prospects along the way. So it'll be 6 months to launch, but we're staying in contact with them in the meantime. How am I doing on time? 1 minute left. Okay, so we're seeking 300,000, seems to be the magic number of the day. Looking to rebuild the staff, the technical staff specifically, that we shed in moving from Trendient, moving from AdSeam to Trendient. Looking for a soft launch by the end of Q2, early Q3, an attendant soft marketing promotion alongside that, and then building up the recommendation engine by late Q3, early Q4. So, Trendient is in a growth area. Online e-commerce today represents less than 4% of the entire retail market, so there's tremendous growth projected. We're going after the fastest growing sector within that market and also the most underserved. So we feel pretty good about our positioning. Thank you very much.